please join me in welcoming a true legend in the SaaS marketing world, a leader of scaling category-defining companies, and a master storyteller, right? Chandar Pattabhiram is the inaugural Chief Go-to-Market Officer at Workato, where he leads strategic transformation across marketing, field readiness, and North American partnerships for the AI-driven enterprise orchestration platform. Chandar brings over 25 years of go-to-market demand generation and category creation experience from brands like Coupa, where he scaled revenue from $150 million to nearly $1 billion, and Workato, a leader in marketing automation. And his proven ability to craft marketing strategies that not only drive growth, but also define markets makes him stand out among SaaS CMOs. Let's welcome Chandar and hear what he has to say and show us. Thank you.
Done. We got 90 minutes to happy hour. Thank you, Suchi, for all the checks in the mail, for all the great introduction you gave me. So good afternoon, everybody. It's good energy. Been a long day. A lot of great content here. And I'm going to kick it off today, this session. If this works, next slide, sir. This is when Larry Ellison is on stage and says, next slide when he does his keynote. I should probably do that. I think it's going to come sometime. There you go. Actually, go back a few slides. I go back. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, my bad. Okay, I'm Chandar. I'm sorry. I'm, as he says, gave the intro. But actually, the person who was supposed to speak here was Vijay Tella, who is the CEO and co-founder of Workato. He's also the CEO and co-founder of TIPCO. And Vijay has a family situation and is traveling to India. And said, I'll take a spot. I'll humbly try to take a spot. But I am qualified to speak for one part of the IIT Madras piece here because I'm from Madras. At least I qualify for the Madras part, if not for the IIT part. Or I should say Chennai. And if I'm really contextually branded myself in today's world, I would say Chen.ai. And that's where I'm from, and all my life in Chennai. And I have a lot of good friends in my high school. 10 of my classmates from DAV actually went to IIT Madras in my class, so a lot of affection and appreciation for the organization. And today what I wanted to do is, I think the afternoon session is about agents. The gentleman before me just spoke about agents. I'm not going to talk about Workato, but I want to talk about this idea of 95% of agents are failing in this world as of today, and how do we change that? Why is that happening, and how do we change that and go through this journey? And I'm not drawing a straight line through an opinion of mine. I'm drawing a straight line through hundreds of data points and talking to a lot of executives around the world and what is the pulse of what's happening in different companies. And I thought I'll give you that pattern based on what I see today, what we see today. Now, first of all, we know it's raining agents everywhere, right? Agents are the Taylor Swift of B2B right now. Everybody is talking about agents. And you look at this, you pick your favorite publication of choice, and you pick your favorite vendor of choice. Everybody is rolling agents out. Right? It's agents from Salesforce, agents from HubSpot, agents from Zendesk, agents from Oracle, agents from Amazon. Everybody is doing that from that perspective. And we just are releasing a study with the Harvard Business Review and AWS. And this kind of corroborates this. 83% of companies or executives plan to integrate AI agents in the next 2 years. I just want to know who the other 17% are. We're not planning to do it, right? So there's a lot of hype around it, and there's a lot of discussion around it. But what the hell is an agent? How would you know an agent if you actually met one, right? I'm not talking, my framework of agents 20 years ago was State Farm and Farmers and Progressive and all those agents there. But my first exposure to what the word agent from a technology concept was in Matrix. And all of us saw Matrix, right? Every one of us have seen Matrix. And Agent Smith was the first kind of metaphor for me, or just the mental model for me, an agent. So what did Agent Smith have and his agents? What defined them? 3 things. They had purpose, albeit bad purpose. They had purpose. Very, very outcome driven, right? Their KPI is kill the protagonist immediately. That was the KPI. That was the KPI that they had. But that was the KPI they're driving. Very, very outcome driven. Number two, autonomous. They are capable and trusted to act immediately and act independently. Killing. The machines actually trusted them to go do that. And always on. And they were not reactive. They were not after the fact. They were proactive. They were signal driven. Every time they see something happening in the matrix, it was deja vu, as you see when the cat walks the second time in the movie, and the agents were there. Now you take the same definition of purpose, autonomy, and always on and apply it to the business world. What the hell is an agent when it comes to an enterprise? Right? First of all, an enterprise agent has to be purpose driven. It's got to have a KPI. Whether I'm driving more leads, whether I'm having better close rates, whether I'm driving more employee retention, whether I'm driving better CSAT, whether I'm closing my books faster. It's going to do that. Autonomous, which is it's be able to act on its own. And again, proactive, something that is being not reactive and reflective, but doing something signal driven. And the advantage of having an agent is that at 5 o'clock, there is no happy hour. There is no plateau of productivity. It's always on from that perspective, right? So let's bring this to life. It sounds like a great definitional thing from the matrix. So you can have all these agents from sales and marketing and IT and finance and HR and all these agents doing specific work. Let me bring one example of this. So this is something we call it genies at Workato, we offer. There's a license agent. Let me go back to the three definitions of what I said. A, it's outcome driven, KPI driven, right? So in this particular case, the license agent's number one job is to make sure we're reducing the number of licenses in the organization, going and looking at and saying how we're overusing licenses. Number two, it's signal driven. I said it's proactive. In this particular case, the agent says, hey, Patricia, you've been recording calls in your Gong license. You've not been recording calls. Why do you need the pro license? Just save $540 a year and get the free license. And three, it's autonomous and actionable that when she says yes, it can actually go do the work and get it done for you. The three things that I talked about. That's really what an agent can do from that perspective across the functions. And we talk about these things that agents can give us the best version of ourselves, and it's not co-pilots, it's co-workers, and get us to the best version of ourselves. But the problem is, we've kind of misused that term to give the best version of ourselves, because we are talking about using agents today in our respective organizations at the edge and not at the core of an organization. We're talking about taking the path of least resistance in our organizations, then the path of most value. What do I mean by that? Many of us who are using agents today are using it at the sides. You know, any email we can send internally, externally gets cleaned up. Any brochure we want to write in marketing, any SDRs or sales development reps in terms of their engagement, and on the website, some sort of a product feedback that we get in agents, or some sort of provisioning thing, but it is not something at the core of your business where really the best version of ourselves can come, which is supplier management or order to cash or demand generation or purchase to pay or closing books. These are the core business things that agents are not doing today. And guess what? That's not something that I say. It's something that it's raining pessimism. Just much as it's raining agents, it's raining pessimism on agents. MIT just released a study a few weeks ago saying that 95% of agents or generative AI projects are failing, and a lot of other publications have this Debbie Downer look. And if you really think about AI in the enterprise, there's a lot of experimental AI. There is not a lot of actionable AI. A lot of people on the edges are experimenting, and it's not something in production, in value, driving at the core of your business. So the question is, why? Why are these agents not able to drive at the core of the business, and why are they failing? So let's just thin slice it and try to decipher the problem of why it is. Now, we all live, if you look at the bottom of the screen here, our world, our corporate world, is pretty complex. There's a lot of systems, applications, data documents, data in different places, systems sitting in all these different areas, and our business processes in our companies kind of fuse through all these different myriad of systems and applications. That's the technology landscape that we have today in most companies that are of any size. I'm not talking about Chandar and Associates, the two-person company. I'm talking about any company that has reached some element of scale. So that's our environment. And we have a goal, okay, how do we bring these agents to life to get the best version of ourselves in our companies, whether you're Procter & Gamble or whether you are any company that is fast growing at $100 million, right? And obviously the models are phenomenal. We talked about, Aparna's last line about the model is the product. I would respectfully debate that over a glass of wine, but we'll talk about that later, maybe over a happy hour. But if you take this problem, there are two issues why agents are not at the core. First issue, they lack enterprise context. I'll explain what that means. And second issue, they lack enterprise trust. Context and trust, those are the two reasons why they're not coming into the core of the enterprise today. So let's double click and see why. So what do I mean by context? Now let's say that I bought some shoes from Italy, Gucci shoes from Italy. And I haven't got it in the last 2 weeks. So I go to this portal or the customer support side, and there's an agent that's working there on behalf of the human. And the virtual agent says, I say my order was supposed to be here on Monday and I still don't have it. Now a basic agent that your CRM provider gives you will probably come back to you and say, hey, your order is on the way. It has a view of the CRM system, which is fine. It says the order is on the way, the order is being booked, and it's at the port of Los Angeles. Okay, doesn't help me because I haven't got the order. Now, a better basic agent would probably have said, if I go back to that, even a better basic agent would probably have connectivity not only to your ERP, to your CRM, but also maybe to other systems, and say, it looks like your order is in the system somewhere in the warehouse. A better agent would have visibility at a process level, not just at a functional level or a data level. Meaning, the order could be fine in my Salesforce, the order could be fine in my financial systems, the order could be fine in my inventory processing systems, but it's stuck in the process somewhere in the warehouse in LA, and a better agent has this process view rather than a functional view, will probably say your order has been stuck in the port of LA, I have ordered and selected a faster route. Better, it says that it's in LA, it's stuck, and I'm doing something for you to get it fast. That's a better agent because that's a process-driven agent, and to make a smart decision. But being smart is not the ceiling here, it's the floor. A real agent that can do this work can be superhuman for us. It can be just stopping here, and that is something which is signal-driven. Imagine a world that you have something, going back to what I said, is autonomous, and it's always on signal-driven, where it goes in and figures out proactively, not that I've gone to the website, and says your order has been rerouted due to a tariff happening in LA, along with 167 other orders. That's really the power of what we should use these things for. Because it makes every one of us the best employees in the company. Everybody in the room has a lot of brain power, and probably we're the best elite employees in our companies. And how do we get the best version, even for the best elite employees, what these things can do? That's the power there. And help us go from defense to offense. The real productivity gain for us is that anybody in a role that is supporting anybody else is in a defensive posture because we are answering somebody's question. Our inbox is filled with everybody else's priorities. That's really what happens. Our inbox is filled with everybody else's priorities, right? But how do we go from a defensive posture to an offensive posture is what these things can do. So, and to do that, you need full context, not partial context, not context at some system level, functional level, data level. It's at a complete end-to-end process level and do that. That's one. The second issue, even though you can have context, CIOs still don't trust it today. And that's the bigger issue. You can have all the context in the world, but they don't trust it. And they don't trust it, and we did this, again, this upcoming study with the AWS and with the Harvard Business Review. Less than 6% of IT leaders trust agents and core processes. The CIO is the CI no. Ain't happening, right? He or she is saying there's no, anybody CIOs in the room here? Any CIOs in the room? No. Okay, then I can be very confident. The CIO is the CI no in terms of what they're doing. It's a true thing that we talk to. And this is a pretty grave statement, pun intended, but this is what one of the CIOs actually said this. ChatGPT will upset SAP or my cold dead body, which is true. They don't want to risk their jobs on it because there is a fundamental dichotomy between what IT executives want and what AI provides. There's a fundamental dichotomy, and that dichotomy is this. AI, by nature, is stochastic, it's probabilistic, and CIOs want predictability in their systems. They want deterministic predictability, right? I don't want to be every time changing the same answer. AI, to a large extent, is my teenage daughter, confidently wrong. Right? Every time I ask her about a grade, A's, but it actually comes out, is that an A? No, it's not. But hey, the same input, different outputs every time, right? And so it's confidently wrong. But CIOs don't want to do that. They do not want to take that risk. That is the fundamental dichotomy. So how do you solve this dichotomy? You solve this dichotomy by unlocking a new thing called skills, called enterprise skills. It's a really new thing that we have unlocked, and let me show you. What's an enterprise skill? We all know what a human skill is. Let me tell you a human skill. I picked up this skill in college, 18, 19 years old, to drink a beer. Some of us picked it up later, some of us didn't pick it. But once I have got this skill, I don't have to relearn it again. It's ingrained into me. The angle in which I pick up this glass, how I look at it, how many times I consume it, how natural I am with it. It is a skill that I've learned 19 years ago, or maybe 19, not 19 years ago, when I was 19. And I've kind of naturally, it's been part of it. Cheers, right? Right? Think of the same thing as an enterprise skill. When you're creating an invoice, AI doesn't have to do the same thing again and again and again because there's unpredictability in the outcome. Because you've created an invoice and you've done it, it's been done to you, it's something that's been done a long time ago. You just have to bring the deterministic thing into the model rather than trying to do it every time. And these things are called skills. And you think of this, I gave you an example of creating an invoice. There are thousands and thousands of skills that can be done in an organization. Think of skills as atomic units that make up a workflow. So if you take an order-to-cash process, right? Anything from creating or a purchase-to-order process, a PO creation, a contract creation, payment processing, refund processing, return authorization, invoice generation, three-way matches. All these processed micro-atomic workflows can give these skills, and there are thousands of these that technologies can provide that brings predictability into CIO's world. So on one hand, stochastic models are needed to get the creativity and get the real-time signal-driven piece, but you have to combine it with the deterministic piece that gives you the predictability that CIO needs. So it's the Venn diagram of creativity and predictability that we need. And so coming back to it, to create a core agent that is at the core of your business that I talked about, we need this combination of things. We need agents with enterprise context. I talked about the full process level context. And you need agents that are building these skills to make it deterministic and make it predictable. And the way to look at this at a layer level is we need something as an enterprise orchestration piece. Because IT teams are all about stacks and different departments and, different layers of technology. A layer of technology that can bring these agents to life is this enterprise orchestration layer that can be brought into organizations, that augments the complexity that we have in these organizations. Now, interestingly, when we talk to the same Harvard Business Review study, almost 2/3 of CIOs were saying that they want to bring this layer into the enterprise, understanding that that can be a path for them to bring productivity at the epicenter of the enterprise rather than the edge of the enterprise. Bring productivity and real action make it actionable in the center of the enterprise rather than these core edge use cases that I talked about. Now, the last thing, a couple of things, is that there are people much smarter than me, much more evolved, who are talking these same words. You look at this set of leaders here, there's $10 trillion sitting on the slide, $10 trillion. Orchestration, context, action, they're all saying the same things that I've just talked about you. But it's all semantic relevance. It's semantic relevance on the way you define what this enterprise orchestration is and the depth to which you define it. So when many people talk about this layer of enterprise orchestration. How many of us have heard of a word called MCP in this audience? Okay, there's about 50% of the audience, the other 50 don't. Well, the other 50 is soon coming to a LinkedIn post near you. Everybody's talking buzzwords about it. It's this, Anthropic has this model context protocol, which is a new way to talk to all these agents and stuff like that. So they talk about this and say, you know what? Going back to this picture that I showed you, I'll just draw some APIs. I can just solve all these things, fuse all these systems, do all these things, do with APIs, and get out of it, and I'll be fine with it. But that's a very, smaller way of looking at it. So I was trying to figure out what's the best analogy I can give that really strikes home the point and that surgically makes the point that you got to look at it much bigger. And no better lessons we get from the movies from the 1980s. So let's go see this clip that makes the point that an enterprise orchestration is much more than these MCP pieces. Let's see this clip.
Yeah, sure. Okay. There you go. And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
He's got a knife.
Knife. That's a knife.
That is a knife. That is a knife. So the point is, the bigger knife here is not, the bigger knife is this. The smaller knife, the sword, was the one that I talked about, MCP and stuff, but all the stuff around governance, security, trust, context, connectivity, all these things are needed for a real professional CIO in a meaningful company to say that I want to bring this to life, and bring this to life in the core of the business. So think of that from their perspective as, if you know MCP, it's an enterprise version of that than just a rudimentary version of what's being offered today, right? So we all love equations here as former engineers and current engineers. I'll leave you with this equation. You're going to forget everything I said today. You're going to remember probably the beer and maybe the crocodile Dundee. That's probably going to remember. 3 days from now, you're going to forget everything else I said today. But if you want to take away one equation, that how do you bring agents to life in your organizations, it's a combination. The formula is core agents equals the AI models plus this enterprise orchestration. We need to combine the generative power of AI with the deterministic power of enterprise orchestration, the generative power of AI and the deterministic power of enterprise orchestration to bring these agents to the core of a business, to make it predictable, to make it autonomous, and ultimately make it outcome-driven to make these enterprises really successful. So that's my story for the day. Have a great day. Thank you. Cheers.